Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everyone for being here for this important event. Upstairs, we just had a important conversation with some of the most important leaders in the labor movement here in Arizona about a discussion of women and the workforce and the need to do more to support women in the workforce. When we don't, it's to our detriment. It hurts our economy. And just a few minutes, we'll be hearing from the whip of the Democratic caucus, Katherine Clark, who is kind enough to be visiting us here in Arizona. This is not her first time in Arizona. She comes back regularly, but she is here to get this important message out about how the Democrats in Congress now and when we win the majority at the elections at the end of this year, how strong we're going to be pro-labor, pro-women, pro-family, pro-worker in the United States of America. And thank you to every single woman in this room who shows up, not just for themselves, but for every working family in Arizona. We did just spend the last 45 minutes to an hour listening to what is actually happening to women in the workforce right now in Arizona and across this country. I want to be clear about what we heard. Life is getting harder for women in Arizona from every direction by a pay gap that we cannot ignore, by a child care system that is out of reach for far too many, and by a Trump administration that is deliberately making all of this worse. This is not an accident. This is a strategy. Trump is waging an assault on working women, and I'm proud to stand here with these workers and our whip Clark, because we are fighting back. Donald Trump and his MAGA allies are dismantling every single protection that working women have fought for decade after decade, and we are doing it without any opposition from the Republican-controlled Congress that is complicit in all of it. Trump is stripping collective bargaining rights from federal workers. Trump is gutting the Department of Education, killing early childhood programs that working families depend on. Trump is handing tax breaks to billionaires while cutting services to keep working moms and dads afloat. And here's what makes it worse. They know exactly what they are doing. Every cut hits women harder than anyone else. Every rollback lands harder on women of color. Every service gone hurts working families enormously. The Trump administration doesn't just ignore working women, they are trying to hold them back. And we are here to say, not on our watch. That's right. The pay gap is a policy problem, and we have the solution. Women in Arizona make 82 cents for every dollar a man makes. Latinas in our state make just 55 cents for every dollar a white man earns. 55 cents. That's not a perception problem. That is not a pipeline problem. That's a major policy problem, and it has a policy solution. We need legislation with real teeth, real transparency from employers, a real enforceable commitment that equal pay or equal work means equal pay, full stop. I've been fighting in Congress for that, and I'm not slowing down anytime soon, and neither is our Democratic caucus. The pay gap is not an abstract statistics. It is money stolen from Arizona women every single week, and Republicans in Washington they act like they are just fine with that. I'm not fine with that. Katherine Clark is not fine with that. The women behind us are not fine with that. Paid leave. The U.S. is an outlier, and it is shameful. The United States is one of the only developed nations on earth without a national paid family and medical leave program, one of the only ones. That is not acceptable. It makes us less economically competitive with nations around the globe. 2.9 million Arizonans have no access to paid leave through their jobs. When a parent gets sick, when a baby is born, when a family member needs a caregiver, workers in the state are forced to choose between a paycheck and their family. This is not a choice anyone should have to make in the richest country in the world. I'm one of the sponsors of the Family Act because no Arizona worker, no American worker should have to sacrifice their job to take care of the people that they love. Democrats are fighting for this. Republicans are blocking it. And that's the choice we're going to have to make this November. With childcare, Trump is making it worse here in Arizona. Arizona tragically ranks 44th in the nation in public school preschool enrollment. 4% of our 4-year-olds are enrolled. 4%. Childcare in Maricopa County costs over $1,300 per month on average. Median rent is over $1,500. These families are paying a second rent just to go to work. Childcare costs in Arizona have risen almost 20% since 2022, while wages have not kept up. And what is the Trump administration doing? They are defunding childcare programs, cutting Head Start to hand tax breaks to the ultra wealthy, taking food out of kids' mouths so their donors get another tax cut. Democrats are fighting to build more childcare facilities, pay educators what they are worth, make sure no family has to choose between going to work and caring for their children. That's what we believe. That is what we are fighting for. The fight at the center of all of this is the Trump administration's war on labor rights. I want to make something clear today. Democrats stand with workers. And that's why I'm so glad to have leaders like Katherine Clark in this historic moment. The Trump administration has launched the most aggressive assault on organized labor in our lifetime, ripping up collective bargaining agreements, stripping 2/3 of the federal workforce of their right to organize. They are attacking the very institutions that built the middle class in this country. The women in these unions, the women in this room, they did not build these rights overnight. They were fought for, struck for, they bled for. And Donald Trump is trying to undo it all with a stroke of a pen. We are not going to let that happen. Everything we just talked about is all the same fight. The pay gap, paid leave, childcare, labor rights. It's a fight whether this country actually works for working people or whether it only works for the wealthy and well-connected. The women in this room are doing everything right. They show up, they work hard, they fight for their coworkers, and Washington just keeps changing the rules on them. We're going to keep fighting for equal pay, for paid leave, affordable child care, for every worker in Arizona who deserves a Congress that actually has their back. And I'm proud to stand here today with Whip Katherine Clark, one of the most powerful and relentless champions for working families in all of Congress. We are going to win this fight because we are fighting together with her tremendous leadership. And come November, the American worker will finally have a voice in government when Democrats retake the majority in the House of Representatives and Whip Clark becomes Leader Clark in our Congress and our caucus. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest fighter for working families and working women in Congress, our Democratic Whip, Katherine Clark.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Greg. Wow. I am so thrilled to be here. Thank you all. What a good day to be in Phoenix and Arizona. And thank you, Congressman Stanton, for pulling us together, and to all the woman power behind me. Let's hear it. It's worker power, it's women power. You can't have one without the other. And I am so grateful to the leaders, the organizers, and the members here today. First, I'm grateful for sending Greg Stanton to Washington. He is a champion and a leader for working families in the halls of Congress. He understands what it means to put the voices of families of Arizona into the corridors of power. And he does it extraordinarily well. And I'm grateful to each and every one of you for your leadership in this chapter in our country's history, for showing that path to a stronger, kinder, more just future that lies with the power and solidarity of working people. Now, we're dealing with an administration that is not shy about their agenda. They believe in hoarding tremendous wealth in the hands of a very few at the expense of everyone else, at the expense of their union rights, at the expense of their health care, at the expense of childcare and veterans benefits and people's retirement. But here's the thing. The American people are fighting back. They know this economy doesn't work for them. They know how much is at stake for their future, and they're prepared to do something about it. And our unions are the heart and soul of that fight. There's no modern struggle for political, social, or economic progress that has succeeded without the labor movement. And Donald Trump and Republicans in Congress know this too. And that's why they've done everything they can to make it harder to join a union, siding with union busters, obstructing the PRO Act, defanging the NLRB, and gutting our federal workers' organizing rights. That comes to an end in November. And I am so grateful to have the chance to sit down this morning and strategize with the incredible leaders that you have here in Arizona. And their stories are harrowing about what the stakes are. As Greg said, all these workers are doing everything right. And all they're asking for is a little help to let them meet with success. When we have 60%, that's most families in this country who are struggling to afford the basics, we have to do everything we can to make sure that we are following Congressman Stanton's leadership, that we're going to grow our labor movement, that we are going to bring that American dream back within reach of working women and families, and that we're going to prioritize the needs of women and children, healthcare, childcare, a dignified retirement over the whims of the billionaire class. And we together are going to build a future that is worthy of our children. I am so proud to be in a fight with the leaders behind me, the leaders here in Arizona, and especially with my friend and really cherished colleague, Greg Stanton. We'd be happy to take your questions.
A couple more speakers, and we'll take questions.
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped way ahead.
But thank you, Whip Clark, she's traveling all over the country to get this message across this country, but being here at Arizona at this critical time, obviously politically, this is a very important state in this upcoming elections. We do have some leaders female leaders from the labor movement who participated in the roundtable earlier, and we've asked them to say a few words, and then we'll take questions. First, Yolanda Bejarno, political organizer from Worker Power. Yolanda.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Congressman Stanton, for everything that you do every single day for working families. And thank you, Whit Clark, for being here. It's a testament. You know, it's amazing to have real fighters in Washington that want to lift up all people. And I do also want to thank Brianna Parkinson, Maricopa Area Labor Federation Chair, Don Schumann, Political Director with the Teamsters, Marisol Garcia, President of the Arizona Education Association, Dora Vasquez, Arizona Alliance for Retired Americans, Executive Director, Molly McGovern, UFCW Local 99, amazing Dynamo Political Director, and Beatriz Topete, Vice President of Unite Here Local 11. These women know how to get it done. They do all the work, and they're incredible. So it brings me a lot of hope. Being a woman in the workforce has never been easy. And yet we show up every single day for our families, our coworkers, and our communities, even when the system fails to recognize our worth. And let's be honest about what the system looks like right now in Arizona. Like Congressman said, women in our state earn about 83 cents for every dollar earned by male counterparts. And for Black women and Latinas in Arizona, that gap is even wider. And this administration is making it worse, revoking wage protections for federal contractors and proposing to strip home care workers, more than 80% of them women, of their basic wage protections. And on healthcare, the consequences are devastating. The Republican tax law enacted last July includes the largest Medicaid cuts in history, putting 1.8 million Arizonans who receive coverage through access at risk. Economists estimate these Medicaid and SNAP cuts could cost Arizona more than 26,000 jobs. Several Arizona counties already have fewer than one OBGYN per 10,000 women, and that will only get worse if rural hospitals are forced to close. And beyond the paycheck in the doctor's office, this administration revoked protections for reproductive health care, gutted the office that enforces anti-discrimination laws by 90%, and stripped collective bargaining rights from federal workers, the very workers that serve our communities every single day. And these attacks are felt in our break rooms and at the kitchen tables all across Arizona. And when I think about one of the reasons why I do this work, I think about my mother. She was a homemaker and a seamstress who raised 6 kids in a small town of rural Arizona. When she first arrived in this country, she worked at a curtain factory in Los Angeles for 2 weeks, and the company simply stole her wages.
Ooh.
They didn't pay her what she earned, they just took it. They threatened her with deportation. She was exploited and she had no recourse. And I thought we were beyond that, but under this administration, we are not. And that's exactly why I fight. And I fight because of the workers unite here that are here, and everybody here that's behind me, they're fighting every single day for dignity and respect on the job. And I know every one of you has a story, of an inspirational woman that has kept you in this fight. And what inspires me, again, I'll end with this. In Arizona, women know how to fight. When women organize, things change. We have always won, and we are not done. Thank you so
Great.
much.
All right. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
The
you.
best.
Thank you.
All right, she was referenced earlier, the amazing leader of our Maricopa Area Labor Federation, a leader with AFSCME. I worked very closely with AFSCME when I was mayor of the city of Phoenix, Brianna Parkinson.
Good morning. My name is Brianna Parkinson. I stand here before you today as a wife, a mother of two, a 3-year-old and a 9-year-old, and as the chair of Maricopa Labor Federation and as a proud AFSCME member. I'm here because my story is the story of thousands of Arizona workers. I'm gonna cry again. Navigating a system that is often built to hold us back rather than help us to move forward. Women, low-wage workers, and workers of color are the least likely to have access to paid family and medical leave, and more likely to leave employment when a health or family crisis occurs. They are the least likely to be able to use a paid family leave program if there is not adequate wage replacement. The status quo, which provides for family leave for people with sufficient wealth to afford not to work, is unfair and unwise. 3 years ago, FMLA was my lifeline, allowing me to care for my newborn son, but the transition back to the workforce was a wake-up call. We were quoted $1,600 a month and paid it for over a year, a price tag that was simply we could not afford. It forced us to find a different school further from home just for the sake of flexibility. But the solution is still a struggle. Today, I can only afford 3 days of care a week. And because aftercare is financially out of reach, my child has to be picked up by 3 p.m. every single day. Thank you. As a full-time professional, I am forced to stop my workday in the middle of the afternoon. When we talk about the wage gap, we are talking about this: the lack of truly affordable, reliable childcare that forces parents to work in fragments. Women in the U.S. earn 76 cents to every dollar that a man does. That equals $14,000 less a year. And the wage gap for women of color is even worse. That's 18 months of groceries, 13 months of childcare, and 7 months of mortgage payments. As a member of AFSCME, I know that labor is the backbone of the middle class. In Arizona, we are union by choice, coined by my sister, Dawn Schumann. And we will not let our rights be undone at any level of the ballot. That protection must include the right to survive the workday. I had the honor of serving on the governor's heat safety task force earlier this year, because in this state, we are the hottest state in the nation. Water, shade, and rest are not perks. They are human rights. Just last week, my own daughter suffered from heat exhaustion after playing at a park for only 30 minutes, but no accessible water. She came home, said she had a headache, felt like she was gonna vomit. These are all signs of heat illness, things that are preventable at parks, at community events, on the job. If a child isn't safe at a community park, a worker isn't safe on a job site. We need enforceable standards now. But we cannot do this work in a vacuum. We need federal officials who will stand up and have the courage to stand with us in the trenches. We need leaders in Washington who will fight to ensure that federal resources and funding are allocated directly to the programs, services, and infrastructure that reinforce our local communities. Thank you to you both for offering this opportunity and standing with us. I'm tired of being put in a box. A box can only hold so many people. I am here to build a bridge. We need our federal partners to help us anchor that bridge with real investment so that every family and every generation can cross it together. Thank you.
Woo.
Thanks. Thank you, Brianna. That is unbelievably powerful. And thank you for being a leader for your members and for all people in the workforce, particularly women. Just imagine if instead of proposing $500 billion more for the Pentagon, which is what Donald Trump is proposing, that's on top of the trillions already there, they put that into childcare. What a stronger economy we would have. All right, she mentioned her. Next will be the political director of Teamsters, Local 104, an amazing leader. She tends to be a little shy, though, on occasion. Don Schumann. You're up.
I was already told don't swear, don't cry. So let's see what happens. Good morning. My name is Dawn Schumann. I'm the political director for Teamsters Local 104. On behalf of our principal officer, Carla Schumann, who is in negotiations in Tucson, welcome to Arizona. I had something written, but I'm going to, ad lib. 82 cents. I just want to say this. I'm not worth 82 cents. I'm worth $1. They're not worth 82 cents. They're worth $1. Some of us are worth more than $1. We have to keep fighting. We can't keep fighting without great leaders that I have left of me and to the right of me. So thank you. A couple of things. Groceries on average are $975 to $1,500 per month. Gas is $4.84. We've heard about childcare. My son and daughter-in-law pay $1,600 a month for childcare. This is causing a crisis within families. Whether are we going to eat or are we going to pay prescriptions? Are we going to eat or are we going to pay our mortgage? Right. The cost of daycare is through the roof, and we hear things are great, never been better, which is false. My union sisters aren't picking out shoes for a gala. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do for our families. We need gas in our car. I heard a story today of $10 is all one sister could afford to put in a gas tank. That doesn't get you very far, maybe 20 to 30 miles. I'm just going to throw this in a minute. I won't, I promise. Wage inequity, childcare, FMLA, rising costs are what women are worried about. With leadership like Whip Clark and Congressman Stanton, we can feel optimistic that we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that light, my friends, is the midterms, where Arizona Teamsters will work to elect candidates who prioritize the needs of working class people and their families. Our voice will be heard in Arizona and throughout this country. And yes, summer is upon us. And we must protect every worker who experiences extreme heat while working. A shade tree and a bottle of water doesn't cut it. Right? Ice at facilities, I'm talking about bottle ice, guys, water, ice, the good ice. The good ice. When ice machines are broken, where multi-million-dollar companies promise water and ice, let's hold them accountable this year. They're brown and yellow. UPS. Prioritizing labor rights is what we fight for every day. In a union by choice state, we understand how important it is to educate, advocate, and fight like hell for every worker. Bills must be passed to protect warehouse workers, ensure first-time contracts are completed in an acceptable time frame, also known as the Faster Labor Contracts Act. Wage gaps are eliminated and families can afford daycare and groceries in the same week. Thank you, Whip Clark and Congressman Stanton, for your support of the discharge petition. I have more to say, but I'm going to end with this. Our General President, Sean O'Brien, hails from your district, and you know he is a champion fighter for the working class. We know you stand shoulder to shoulder with us. Brianna, you got me. We know you stand shoulder to shoulder with us in this fight, and the Arizona Teamsters and all of our sisters from multiple unions will stand with you. And together, we will continue to fight like hell and work for the winning class. Thank you. Win for the working class.
The best. I got. All right, we got you.
Okay. Thank you for everyone. Those are spectacular remarks. Any questions you may have for Whip Clark?